at 7:10. Bernie Flynn's here, Pat McCoy, and Brian Travis. The announcements. Public hearing to amend Chapter 62, Garbage, Rubbish, and Refuge on Wednesday, May 22nd, 2025 at 6:30 at the Borough Hall. Moving on to B, any comments, suggestions, petitions by residents in attendance regarding items not on the agenda? All right, moving on to reports. Engineers report, Panoni. I don't see anyone from Panoni. Okay, all right, no. You guys have any questions?
No questions.
Okay, Public Works. You explained to everybody what that preemptive device is. Are we going to retain the same vendor to repair them, or is that a contract that we have with them?
Start over again.
You're killing me, really?
Oh, somebody turned it off.
You serious?
Nicole can't hear you.
Do you want, oh,
You can start over again.
Can we read this thing?
No,
Bill's got
Yeah.
jokes. Bill's got jokes.
yeah, well, he does have some jokes once in a while.
I remember that, Bill.
What we found out is that those optonics, there's those little white lights you see on the crossbars. We did an inventory of them, and 50% of them were not working properly. So that's what jump-started this program, and trying to get it on a more annual review. The safety departments were supposed to report it to Dave March, and sometimes it happened, sometimes it didn't. But now we're on top of those lights, which is good. So with the paving projects,
Yes.
is there any way that we can put a sign, an orange sign at the top of a street, letting relatives, letting residents know on August 13th, this street's going to be paved, because everybody parks on the streets, and instead of those little banners we put on the poles.
Okay, I'd like to tell you what we have been doing, which is sending out these notices and contacting these properties individually. And Don Anderson reminded me that we've done this in the past and it's worked. I was especially anxious about alleys because of all the people that park there. But he said we've done it in the past. So to answer your question, I don't think we've done that in the past.
It's just a small sign that says big, stick them out cones.
That way there, it's an early warning system. Yeah.
Short answer, yes.
Yeah, yeah, because Aqua, as you know, came down West Minor Street,
Oh, yeah.
and we towed 7 cars
Yeah.
and the signs were up. And, it's an amazing look on people's faces when they come back and how they look up and down the street to try to say, I know I parked here, but there's no cars here, no trucks here. So it stops the aggravation a little bit. So then they call the police. Do you guys have any questions, Public Works? No.
Well, I can just tell you, if you forward each and every one of them to me, we'll get signal service to repair it. Yeah. Yeah.
Mr. McCoy?
No questions.
Thank you for your report. Wastewater? Mr. Sean Mitchell.
Good evening. This past month, with the help of Public Works Department, the main incoming line into Goose Creek was sewer jetted and cleaned out of a little bit of grit and debris. Preventive maintenance was done on all the lawn mowing equipment. All the oil changes and lubrication spring oil changes and lubrication was performed on the clarifiers, mixers, blowers, and compressors. For now, the cold weather's out, all the spray nozzles on the clarifiers were removed, cleaned, inspected, and replaced. During the month, employees were cutting grass and noticed a spongy, soft ground. So we investigated, found a slow leak in a pipe due to friction from when the pumps kicked on. One pipe was sitting on another pipe, so over 40 years it wore down. Upon us digging it up, the hole went from pinhole to big. We had to call a contractor in. They came out the next day. We shut the pipe down, plugged it. They fixed it. Everything is back to normal. The plant passed its annual inspection performed by DEP with no violations, and the average flow was 1.020 million gallons per day. Taylor Run, they drained 3 RBC trains, 14 total units. They pumped it out, cleaned the snails out of the bottom, inspected the tanks, placing them back online. They dropped, cleaned, and inspected the seals of one of their final clarifiers, and they did their spray hoses and nozzles also with an average daily flow of 761,000 gallons per day. The pump stations had their monthly cleaning and inspections. The capital projects, the electrical substation specs for installation of the equipment purchased should go out late July, early August for approval in September, we're hoping. The primary sludge pumps are ordered and they'll be in 6 to 8 weeks. Taylor Run's sludge pump is in 6 to 8 weeks, and our new PAC system should be in and installed late June, early July. The Maple Alley project is 80% completed by design. The connection management plan, we are still waiting on DEP.
Any questions?
No questions.
How's the meadow grass doing?
How's what? I'm
The
sorry.
meadow grass that you guys
It's
supposed to.
growing.
it-
They actually use Goose Creek as a picture because of how many black-eyed Susans grew last year. They use it on all their presentations now. So
Yeah, Mr. Metric, Black Eye Susie over there. All right, good. It'd be nice to see the picture. Yeah, we didn't say it. Yeah, I mean,
he's actually my neighbor, so I'll see if I can get it.
yeah, it'd be nice just to see what the picture looks like because, I wanted to put goats in there and sheep in there just to keep the grass down, fertilize it.
There's enough deer down there now.
Oh, there is?
Yeah,
Okay, so they're eating the Black Eyed Susies. There you go.
they try.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Parks and Rec, Mr. Corrals. Good evening, Keith.
Miserable night for baseball. So Cards, Phillies tomorrow, doubleheader. I'm a Cardinals fan, guys. want to start off with events that took place last month. We only had one event that took place that was borough sponsored, which was the annual Easter egg hunt in the borough of Westchester. And on a miserable April 12th, Saturday morning, we had to move the event indoors to literally right where you're sitting. And we probably had over 400 people come through that day. New this year was we added a sensory sensitive element to the event, and an area with children with those special needs could go and kind of be in a more calm setting. And things worked out really, really well. We worked with a group called Faith on the Spectrum that helped us set everything up from that aspect. But we got rid of over 6,000 eggs right here where y'all are sitting. It was a really good time. Now, I think 2 out of the last 4 years, we've had to move the event indoors. Hopefully next year we'll be outdoors. Touching on a couple notes from my report, Hoops Park tennis courts, they are coming along. We are literally hoping, again, Mother Nature not being exactly cooperative, we're hoping that the week leading up to Labor Day, which would be, I guess, next week, we might be able to put the sport court down. But again, just a reminder, we need 3 consecutive days of 50+ degree weather, night and day, to lay that sport court. And then we need 3 days after to let it cure. So hopefully that'll be the case. And maybe right after Memorial Day, we'll be playing pickleball and tennis over at Hoops Park. Moving ahead, the next 6 weeks are going to be extremely busy. I'll get into 2 of those things a little bit later, but we've got a laundry list. Keep going down, Bill. There you go. Upcoming events. A laundry list of goodies coming up to keep the people of Westchester busy for the next only month and a half. Starting this Friday night, again, Mother Nature permitting, we have a movie night over at Hoops Park, Marshall Square Park, and we'll be showing a movie. It's not looking good as of right now with Mother Nature, but we're hoping. Also, we just purchased in conjunction with West Goshen. We've been using the same projector at our movie nights for the last, I think, since I've been here. So we went together and went halvesies on a new projector, which should hopefully enhance the quality of the motion pictures that we're showing. We actually have to get a copyright through a company called Schwank Motion Pictures to be able to show those movies in the public. We don't charge a dime for any movies we show publicly, but just to show them publicly, we have to go ahead and get that copyright. So a movie that might cost you $2 at the Red Box, or if they even still exist anymore, or at a Giant or whatever, wherever you can buy DVDs these days, might cost you $10. We got to spend about $300 to show a relatively newish movie. You can see the picture of this year's theme for the 42nd annual Turk's Head Music Festival coming up on June 8th. Something pretty cool with that is that we received over 130 band EPKs, electronic press kits, to be in this year's event. We have 7 that take part of the actual event. So that's like nearly double more than we've ever had before, getting the word out there. The event itself has become just a staple of the borough of Westchester in the summer. I am so very thankful that we decided to move it from the middle of July to the beginning of June, because it was ungodly hot the 3rd Sunday in July for the first 17 years that I worked here. And things are working really well. That actually is the old Super Sunday date that we kind of took over for this instead. You can see the list of activities and programs that we are currently running. All of our programs, as we've discussed here, I think going back to the March Public Works Committee, we are vetting through the Recreation Commission. They're making recommendations moving forward. Our program coordinator, Ryan Michael, will then get the information together. I present it to the committee, or the commission, excuse me. They give us the recommendations. We move forward if they give the okay. If not, we go back to the drawing board. The only other thing I want to touch on, and we'll get to that a little bit later, is a couple grants that are coming out that we're going to be working on moving forward, but I'll get to those in a couple of minutes. Does anyone have any questions about Parks and Rec in general?
I have just one question.
Fire away.
Over at Hoops Park,
Mhm.
have they been has the library been changing the books?
Once every 6 months, yes.
Okay, so they
They
have
did, the most recent one was, I think they did it in April. I can double
Okay.
check, but yes.
Yeah,
Like, same thing, it got approved through the Recreation Commission.
yeah. Okay, good. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Thank you.
No, thank you.
Old business, approve the April 2025 meeting minutes. No issues? Okay. B, discuss Public Works building and facilities, past efforts and timeline.
Don
Gentlemen?
and I spoke, and he can
speak kind of what our game plan is to the committee, but I have given to you a summary of research that we did, and thanks to Dana for digging in the archives and catacombs and getting more information out. I looked at that. It doesn't really add anything new to what I've written for you all. It just sort of lays out what was done between 2007 and 2018, which were some different attempts to solve this problem that we are now again considering solving. So we do have a plan that Don and I talked about, and I think it's appropriate that, you know, we did a lot of feasibility work in the past, but I feel really confident that with the experience we have in the room between Mr. Anderson and the rest of the staff that's been there a while with Don Edwards' leadership, that we have a pretty good idea of what our operational needs are in terms of space and functions and what the next 50 years is probably going to look like in the borough. So I think we don't need help to do that. So I'm not going to say anything more because I want Don to kind of finish our thoughts and tell you kind of where we're headed with this conversation.
Okay, so this also ties in with the meeting we had last week when we were talking, and it sounded like there was interest from most, if not all, people of continuing on the public works site, but tearing down the building and then just redoing the whole site. So it would be a new building, but it would be the same site, and that has a couple advantages. I think it'll save some time because we don't have to look for acquiring land and just going through that whole process. And I think it'll save some money because we're reusing the site. And so I think that if we have support for this, I think our recommendation is that we move forward, and then the next couple of steps should be start looking at funding, and which is no small task, and the next step would be designing the building. And I think what we would want is for this budget in 2026 to include the cost of designing the new building at Lacey Street. So I'm interested in your comments and questions on that.
Mr. Travis?
Yeah, just because I have not been on this journey, and I'm looking at diagrams from February 7th, 2011. What was the initial reason? Like, what are the issues that we're trying to solve? If they're not space related, is it the buildings themselves?
Yeah, it's the condition of the building.
Of the buildings?
Yeah, I mean, the roof, the HVAC, I mean, it's all in a condition where we're going to start paying big money for replacing. I mean, for example, we looked at replacing the heating and air conditioning system, and it came in at hundreds of thousands of dollars. So it'd be like throwing good money after bad, or whatever that expression is. So it's a condition of the building.
No, I get it. I just unloaded an 18-year-old car before I had to put a bunch of money into it, and I got money out of it. So
Right.
It makes sense. What other types besides the structure itself? And I know we're still early again, I guess early planning stages again. What other issues are there besides the building? I'm just thinking about the location in itself, and you know, it is right in the middle of the neighborhood.
Right.
But
But one thing we can do, well, first of all, I don't know that there really are any other issues other than the condition of the building. But to make an argument for keeping it in that neighborhood is, when we do the architecture, we can make sure it fits the neighborhood. You know, make it look like a historic building, so that it's consistent with the neighborhood. And that's something I would expect to come out of this.
Mr. McCoy?
yeah, a couple of questions. Any idea of budget whatsoever? I mean, we apparently in 2009 gave the architect a budget of 3, and then 2011 it came in at, did I see 11 somewhere? Oh, the actual cost after it was designed was
12 million. So do we have any sense at all whether this is a
I do.
$10 million, $20 million project?
No, I think that $12 million number is probably in the ballpark.
Okay. The second question was about the site. Do we have any room at either of the wastewater facilities to
Well,
do this?
no, not there, but if you want to, if you decide you don't want it at the current site, I mean, the Snyder Avenue would be an option. I don't recommend it at this time. As far as the current site, I mean, there is some dead space where we can add some things there. Besides the building itself, I'm envisioning that we would also do something with because the site includes the building, the parking lot behind it, which is going to be improved very soon. And then there's like 2 warehouse facilities that are right next to it. So those warehouse facilities, I would expect them to come down and just like, basic buildings for storage would be there. I would expect on the Public Works site, we would have some more covered facilities for the vehicles to get them out of the weather. I personally think, that we have what we need at that site.
So one last question. If you do use that site, continuity of operation, what would you do?
The details will be, tricky, but we're going to have to find temporary facilities, possibly, trailers down there, Snyder Avenue or something like that. I don't think we'd put trailers in the parking lot because we still would need parking. But yeah, I mean, as you know, a big project there's going to be a lot of details that we have to work through. But I'm confident it'll work out. It's just part of the project.
Just one other question, because again, I hadn't been here for the original part of the journey, and I know that there was some opinions in terms of where it should be. If it wasn't in the same location, could you use that land to develop anything on it besides a parking lot?
Okay.
Or is it contaminated? In other words, is there
It is.
brownfield? Okay.
It's contaminated, and right now it's restricted from residential. And I think it would involve major cleanup, major expense to get it into a condition where it could be used for residential. Another reason, I mean, I really think this building is a good use for that contaminated site.
The date of the building that's there now, you know what it is?
Well, it's funny you mention that because Sean was using Google Earth to go back in history, and
They used to crush stone there.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
so it does appear that building where where we currently fix our vehicles appears on old Sanborn maps from early 20th century. So I don't know when it was originally used, but that building there is at least 100 years old.
It looks like it used to be an old barn.
yeah,
Yeah, it was a barn that we renovated. I was hoping that you were going to tell us that we were going over the National Foam, because I thought that was a much better location, but you guys are settling, on the existing site. Do we, once we destroy the building, take the building down,
Right.
right? Are we going to have any problems with DEP based on removing, trying to build something again on a contaminated site?
no, we're just limited in how much we can excavate, and I think it's possible that we would try to reuse like the plumbing that's on there and try not to excavate too much. But even if we do have to excavate, like we have with this Goose Creek project we're doing right now,
Right.
there's a plan, get DEP's approval, and you just go from there.
Because we had to take dirt from
Yeah.
and send it to a reclamation site
Mhm.
and pay extra because of the contamination.
Yes.
Do you think that's going to be part of the plan?
Well, I think it's just going to be a small part of the plan. I mean, the objective would be to do as little disturbance of, subsurface as possible. And again, I mean, if we reuse the plumbing, and I think we'd be in pretty good shape. I mean, like the warehouses we're talking about, that's away from it. That doesn't even really apply. We don't have any reason to do excavation there, or much excavation anyway. And yeah, so there really shouldn't be that much.
Okay, so I haven't seen the pictures which are up here, but the footprint of the buildings are pretty much stay where they are now?
I would. I mean, you know, that's to be determined when we
Okay,
get into design. But my recommendation would be keep it in that same area to reuse the plumbing and other things that are underground, drains.
yeah, okay. All right.
It's just, we're talking about ideas at this point, and that it's fair to say, I don't want you to get the impression we're pointing at this outcome in any one direction or not. If you were going to put it on a different site, the benefit would be that right now that use on that lot is non-conforming. It's not the only non-conforming use in the neighborhood conservation 2 district. There's lots of non-residential uses all throughout the district. But the idea with your zoning code is over time, those uses change and get refilled with uses that do conform. So there's some logic to thinking about a public works facility in an appropriately zoned district, a commercial or industrial district. If you want to go offsite, Don is absolutely right. You're going to have to, it does create extra time, probably some extra cost and some extra logistics in figuring out, all right, now you got to figure out the land part of the equation too. And that will take some time and thought as well, but it's just all things come with rewards and consequences.
I'm glad we're talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't think we'd get here that quick.
Yeah.
But it's a good step forward. So,
I think our conversation last week helped.
yeah, okay. So what do you need us to do?
I don't think we need anything from you at this point in time, because we're just talking about concepts. I think the time, you know, what I'm anticipating doesn't cost us anything to get a proposal from an architect. So at the appropriate time, I would expect, you know, we got to look at the money part too, but at the appropriate time, I would expect that once we get a proposal, we'll have more meaningful information for you.
And I think Don and I need to invest a little time together, finding other places that have built public works buildings, preferably on small lots that are in dense areas. You're not going to build West Goshen Township's public works facility because we don't have the same needs. They have 45 miles of road they have to maintain. We only have 10. So we're sort of high, maybe low volume need, but high quality service.
There you go.
And we have to find other places that are doing it that way. Places like Lower Marion, Havertown, Downingtown, Phoenixville, Norristown, places that are dealing with some of the same issues we are. Now, no place is exactly like Westchester, but I think it's worth Don and our time to think about what other places have come up with solutions.
Excellent. Any more questions, guys?
On here.
The one other comment would be along the same lines is I think we've kind of kicked the can down the road long enough where time is of the essence.
Excellent.
All right.
So what, you know me, what's going to happen next?
Well, I think.
Smart goals, specific, measurable,
Yeah.
attainable.
Well, I think between now and when we start putting the budget together, we'll come up with the appropriate time to get proposals from architects. We'll have to discuss internally, we'll have to discuss funding and all that, but that'll be the time. And I would estimate that probably like August, September, we might have something.
Our budget process and our capital plan right now, it's not. So give us some time to prepare for that, but we'll be ready when it comes time to start talking nuts and bolts of budget, and that starts in September. I also have to have a conversation, and I was planning on doing it anyway because we have some expenses on the horizon in the wastewater department with bond counsel to find out how we finance big projects, what that looks like, wrap my head around cash flow and how we're going to make it all work and not punch everyone in the mouth right away with an extra cost.
Great. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Anything from the public? Daryl, are you feeling okay tonight? All right, because you haven't moved. Mayor, come on up.
Price is Right. So thank you, Don Edwards, for that report. I think that, as Sean mentioned, we do need to put it in our plans so that we can actually follow through and make it happen this time. I know it's been conversations, and each time I think different borough councils have backed away from it because of the cost. And as we can see, the cost is only rising. However, I think if we use what we have to better utilize that ground, because, you know, when you go over there, and you've all probably taken the tour, as did I, the ground is not used in an efficient manner. And that space looks small, but it's not. And not to mention the parking that you have across the way. And so I think not only do we need a new building that actually has heat, because one of the reasons why this came to the forefront when I went to look at the garage is they had no heat, and they're working in those conditions, and not complaining, but, you know, doing all sorts of things to try to have heat. And I still think one of the heaters didn't get fixed. Wasn't that correct? I think you got heat in one area, but not in another area. But I say all that to say, I think we just really need to press forward with this mission and to make it a priority, because costs have only gotten greater. I think it makes good sense to use the land we have from a cost perspective, so we don't have to go out and purchase other land that's contaminated. So there's no benefit there, except it's more contamination you're purchasing. So thank you for having the conversation. Also, what we really need is to, you know, in addition to all of this, is we need to protect the investment of the equipment that we purchased, because they're sitting out in the elements and being affected by that too, in addition to protecting our people, because we have good people in public works.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, Mr. Edwards, well, Mr. Williams earlier tonight, Mr. McGinnis talked about solar panels and solar heating and all that stuff. I'm looking at the pictures, the renderings, they look like they're all flat roofs. It would be a self-contained gold seal standard for the efficiency down there. It'd be great. We could maybe do even a geothermal for hot water and stuff. I know, I couldn't remember the word grease, but I can remember geothermal. I figured that one out. Okay. Don't laugh at me. It comes and goes. It comes and goes, Patrick. You'll find out soon enough. 10 more years, you'll figure it out. All right. I have not figured out how not to get home yet, though. All right. New business. Motion to approve 2025 Household Hazardous Waste Program with the Chester County Solid Waste Authority. Any issues with that?
I just don't know what it is.
Yeah. All right, we'll table that then. Dana will table because we don't know what it is. Yeah. All right, B. Motion to approve grant resolution from the DCED, Gateways, Trails and Recreation, in support of the future of John O. Green projects. The borough will apply for a max award of $225,000. The grant is 85% funded by DECD, Act 13, at least 15% locally. So does that mean we have to come up with, oh, hello,
Yeah, we're not,
15% of the money?
50% of whatever that total is. They'll fund up to 250. And again, if the projects, if it was exactly or we got exactly 250, we know our share would be 37.5. We're going to be applying for the grant. We're going to be coming out of the pros plan, which isn't complete yet, but they are focusing on John O'Green as the first park that's going to be getting some significant work. Relocation of some playground equipment, adding shade structures, exercise equipment, rehabilitation of the basketball courts, adding more vegetation, more color. But all those things aren't cheap. And we also have to take in, just like we were talking about the public works site, we have to take in the fact that there's a environmental covenants on that ground as well. So there's a very good chance we might have to get, we're almost definitely going to have to get you're going to have to get grease involved. We're going to have to get the DEP involved in this project as well. Our covenant currently only allows us to go to 24 inches below grade. So yeah, it's going to be a lengthy process. Again, if this grant is due on the 31st of May, we've been working with Pannoni on this project, and that'll kind of lead me into C as well.
Whatever happened, and Mr. Edwards could probably help out with putting those elevated toilets in the John O'Green area that we talked about 3 years ago. There's no toilets there.
There's just the one porta potty.
Yeah, I'm sure the pros plan said that was not sufficient for the amount of use that gets down there.
Yeah, I mean, going back to memory, if I recall, we were going to elevate the restroom, and we were going to have it discharge towards Matlack Street, and it would stay off of the contaminated property. So I don't think anything's happened with it, but that was the concept. And so that's out there. That's possible.
Thank you, because that park does need restrooms, and we did have a concept design some years ago, and it'd be great to have it down there again.
Yeah. Do you have any issues with the resolution to apply for the grant?
Yeah.
Anyone?
Any problem?
I'm good with it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
3-0.
Okay. That kind of leads me into C as well. Max award of $30,000 with no match required. Right. This is already budgeted for this year. I think we have $65,000 or $70,000 in the budget for this project. We can absolutely make this project work with those funds, but if we have extra funds for this project, we can make it a little bigger, and a little better. We're going to work on designing it in both ways. So if we get the funds, we'll go with the bigger version. If not, we'll go with the smaller version. But it's the park. The North Side Park was installed in 1999. It's time for some refurbishing on a significant level, as opposed to just piecemealing it here and there.
Any issues, guys?
Done here.
All right, that's a 3-0.
Thank you.
Come on up, Mayor.
So my question, Keith, is have you talked, when you begin these plans, are you going to speak with the neighborhood and the people who live there to consult with?
Again, about 10 or 12 neighbors, and we're working on another time, so more information.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, D, discuss awarding the bid for Gay Street closure infrastructure. Consider the options regarding the bid on Gay Street closure infrastructure. We've bid this thing out twice. And we got 3 bidders this time. The low bidder is Marino, but it's still significantly over our threshold. We have $973,000 to use, came in at roughly 1.5 million. So the recommendation after our team meeting was to reject all the bids and ask Kelly Groff from RVE to come up with an alternate type plan that would fit our budget. And she's, with permission from Mr. Metric and Mr. Edwards, she'll work on it. Did I leave anything out, gentlemen?
No, I'd like to add something. I was at the Westchester Business Improvement District meeting this morning. I informed the people there that we were having this conversation and that it's likely, well, the staff was going to recommend rejection of the bids and a rebid where we could look at alternate alternatives to the Matador system of road closures that was specified in the last two times we tried to bid this out, in the hopes to get costs down, but still maintain our specifications, which are ease of installation and safety. And then I brought up the issue of what is the least impactful time of year to do this work? And the bid recommended starting the second week of January would be their preference to avoid Q4 altogether. So I'm just relaying that information back to council. That's a reasonable goal for us to keep, and we wouldn't want to go any later than that because we do have grant money on the line that we have to expend before the end of 2026 on this project.
Yeah, we looked at all, we had a roundtable discussion on trying to figure out how to make this thing fit our budget. And what we found out was that just the material alone quoted to the contractors was $800,000. That's only 190,000 under us. Then I suggested, why don't we buy the material direct? And so we could save the taxes and we'd have to pay for shipping and freight and stuff like that. But I mentioned to Mr. Edwards and Mr. Metrick that some ideas that still using the Matador system on the high impact areas or like High Street or Matlack, still using it at that area, but where we have less impact, using low depth ballards that could be look like torpedoes to put in and out every week, and it would move rather rapidly. So Kelly's looking into that kind of stuff now and try to come back with a better idea for the administration. So, Mr.
Was it, oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Was it just that our expectation was that we would be able to find a solution that matched what we were getting in terms of our grant money?
We kept thinking that.
So our expectations were really high for what we would be able to get.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about this happening in ideally 2026
Mhm.
anyway, I mean, it feels like the right project to be doing. I get that it's, over $1 million, but the three bids were within 6% of one another. So obviously the prices are good. And this is just what it costs to do it. We just didn't budget enough for it. So should we be budgeting another $500,000 to do it, to get the right?
There's a little bit more,
Project.
there's a little bit more to the story, and that is the original estimate from the engineer was like $975,000. So the price evidently went up from the vendor. And so, yeah, I mean, the prices are all consistent, but which is a good thing. Like you said, you got a good bid, but you got to keep in mind that $800,000 is fixed. All three of the contractors are getting the same quote from the vendor, So I would expect the price to be close in that kind of a situation. So it's not that we didn't budget enough. The original estimate wasn't good, and I think it was because the vendor raised their prices.
So are we hoping to find a vendor that has an equivalent solution for
No, so
40% less money?
well, it'd be less money, but to Mr. Flynn's credit, he thought of this idea. We might look at removable bollards. Okay, so instead of sliding bollards, we would be putting in removable bollards, which Public Works would install. It'd be a lot better than what we're doing now with the Jersey barriers and the concrete barriers that are out there. But weekly, we would take these like stainless steel bollards and install them, and it would be a different system. And I'm optimistic that the cost would come down to our budget where we want.
But so the crash protection would be less.
Yes, matter of fact, I checked all the boxes. I looked at it again today. Aesthetics, stainless steel, I think it looks sharp there. Constructability, they'd be shallow, so we don't have to contend with all the utilities that are in Gay Street there. Safety, M50 crash rating, so that's what the police wanted. And And there was one other too that we were, oh, and then the budget obviously would fit into our budget. So it checks all the boxes as far as I know, but Kelly needs to kind of look into the details and do a deeper dive into that.
It's also ease for first responders. All they have to do is go up to it, twist it, lift it out, pull the fire truck in or the ambulance in. And, it's, the stainless steel won't rust either. And it has, when you take the Ballard out, there's a flap that goes over the hole that, keeps all the debris and water out of it. And then, then you just reuse it. I'm not so sure that when Kelly does her design work, that the Matador system in the high impact areas that will look nicer, like on High Street where you can go 80 miles an hour and make that right turn or left turn and smash into stuff. She's not going to, might use it there. Because if you look at $800,000 just for material and you're going to use half of that, so that's 400,000. Then we can put the stainless steel barriers in the soft areas, but get the same impact protection with stainless steel. And it looks like torpedoes. We could actually make a rack to store them on during the week. And then the crane can just pick them up and take them to wherever they need to go. It's a lot quicker to install them than what they're doing now. It takes half the morning to do what they do now. So
I would like Kelly to look at not even using the Matador and using these stainless steel bollards everywhere. I'm not real happy that this company raised their prices like they did. They're coming from England. So they got the transportation
No
costs.
American company that makes these?
Proprietary.
You would think there's got to be some other vendor. I mean, my one concern about the stainless steel ones is weekend after weekend after weekend of doing them. It's hard for me to believe in storing them, putting them back in, that they're not going to get scratched and banged up, and we'll have residents complaining about how they look like crap after 2 years.
That's why I want that's why I want the stainless steel. But yeah,
to your
one.
point,
It's still going to
Yeah,
scratch, still going to
yeah.
get
it will.
Yeah.
Okay.
to your
You know
point,
better than I do.
I looked a little further because you know me, just doing a little bit more over engineering. I should have been an engineer if I can remember Greece. What they also sell are polyurethane covers. Once they get to a point where you can't use them, if you saw them at Wawa, all those Wawas have those old cast iron Ballards. They just put a sleeve over top of it. And the ones that we saw were flat stainless steel. And the company actually makes covers that'll go right over them. They stay right on the whole time after you get them. I put glue on them and put them on. So it's
And to address your concern, Kelly has done a deep dive on any options for this, and we got a letter report and all of it. Actually, it's probably in what you got there.
yeah.
It's
So
like a
it's
whole list of things.
we're not redesigning. We're trying to reevaluate how we can make the thing work and get it done in a reasonable amount of time.
I tell you, where I'm still stuck is having been in countries that are 1,000 years old, that have streets that are, 3 times as old as Westchester, and they seem to be everywhere, these retractable barriers. And it's hard. I know they're big tourist towns, but how the hell can they afford to do these projects and figure these out? And we can't for this money. It's astounding to me. I don't
Well,
understand
we
it.
can definitely do the retractable bollards. It's just a matter of money, and I don't think we can do it for the price that we have.
Keller's going back to the board, I guess.
$500,000, well, $500,000 is a lot of money to ask council to approve just to close something down for 5 months, So would I love to see the Matadors? Of course we would. And, but if it's not feasible, then, I always like to wear Hickey Freeman suits too, but you never see them on me here. It's hanging in the closet for funerals, and weddings. So, all right. Thank you, Mr. Edwards. All right, let's see, discuss solutions for, conflict between street trees and sidewalk maintenance. Mr. McCoy, you were involved in this one, weren't you?
Yes.
Mr.
I'll
Barney?
let you introduce it because I'm sure between the tree commission and
The hazardous waste thing that was on the agenda, did we go over that? Is that coming next, or is that?
We didn't know what it was. It was just a resolution, didn't have any information or
Or I'll tell you
exhibit.
right now if you want. So it's something that we have been doing and it was like under $7,000 is what the borough paid. And what it does, it gives the residents to get rid of hazardous waste, not only at the one time it's held in Westchester, but also the neighboring townships. They got to show their license and then get rid of their hazardous waste. So that form just acknowledges that we're participating. And again, I think our financial exposure is under $7,000.
Let's revisit that, Dana. Under new business, A, motion to approve 2025 Household Hazard Waste Program with Chester County Solid Waste Authority. Support the program and contribute estimated portion share for 3 years as determined by the 2021 census. So is that what it's about?
Yeah,
It's an agreement that we're having with Chester County?
yeah.
So is it a program that we would have where we would tell residents to bring their hazardous waste to have the
Right.
borough dispose of it?
Right. It's a county program.
The county program, okay.
Right. And I think there's one event in Westchester Borough and then there's other places. And we would just inform our residents where they go to take their hazardous waste.
What are some examples? Would it be like unused paint,
Paint,
like oil?
yeah, gas, oil, that kind of thing.
Is there anything that wouldn't be considered?
I don't know.
No?
Well, I could be a smart aleck, but I don't know.
How about tires?
Tires, batteries, nothing electronic, nothing, no TVs, but pesticides, anything in a spray can. Latex paint can be thrown out at home, just dry
Right.
it out first. Oil paints.
Yeah.
It's things that are restricted from our bulk pickup, basically. Okay.
And we
With the
do
exception of electronics and stuff.
And we do take e-waste at Public Works, so.
That's right. you
That's
do.
another thing that we do. We actually get
Okay.
money from that.
Thank
Yeah.
you for clarifying that. I didn't know what it was, but that
And
explains.
this is recurring. I mean, we currently have it.
Yes.
This is just extending the contract with new terms.
Yes.
All right, so it's a 3-0, Dana, instead of being tabled.
Do you want me to kick it off? Or just-
I'll kick it off. I mean, I've seen a number of residents that have had a problem in a variety of ways with the sidewalks, sidewalk maintenance, and the tree canopy. The tree commission, we've got two sort of competing missions there. One is to preserve our tree canopy and to get rid of dead or dying trees. The other is a sidewalk to make sure there aren't tripping hazards. So because we live in an old town with brick sidewalks and we have large street trees, obviously there's going to be conflict. So the conflict has been, they get a notice of violation from Building and Housing about the tripping hazards, fix this, and then, they're faced with having to get the tree commission, the arborist come in to say whether they should take it down or not. So there are a couple issues with that. The arborist responsiveness, to me, seems like it has been really poor. So that is one thing. But the more important thing is how do we prevent this from being a headache for residents so that we can, make sure that Building and Housing and Public Works or the Tree Commission are all talking and coming up with a solution that's relatively quick and not take 3 or 4 months to resolve. This particular case, it did get resolved recently. I'm not sure that, the residents terribly happy about it. They understand what's happening. At the end of the day, from talking to him after this was all resolved, he said, I know I'm going to have to go back in there in 3 years and fix this thing again because the tree's going to get bigger and I'm going to have, more bricks come up. So I'd rather the tree just be taken out, which I don't think any of us want if it's a healthy tree. So how do we resolve this never-ending conflict between sidewalk safety, tripping hazards, and keeping a beautiful tree canopy?
Right. So I don't think it's going to take 3 or 4 months. I mean, Sean and I talked about the process as far as notice of violations and code enforcement And basically, I think what we're going to do is we're going to work with the residents. We're going to try to use some common sense. Can we accomplish everything out there? No. I mean, there'll be some narrow places with a sidewalk. I don't agree that it'll be like 3 years when, the sidewalk will have to be replaced again. It'll probably be about 10, 20, 30, before there's a significant problem. But we're basically, I think we've come up with the best solution that we can. And if there are significant problems in the future, we'll deal with them on a case-by-case basis.
Just for background, what was the solution for this? It sounds like someone had to dig up their sidewalk and repave.
Well,
it.
I mean, the trunk is pushing up all the bricks. So I think the solution was to, do a slight mound that's not necessarily ADA compliant. Or is it? I don't know.
No, I didn't want to use that, but that's the problem. I mean, it's narrow, but if people don't complain and if it works, then we're just going to go with it. And that's the part. Like if somebody says, "Well, I'm in a wheelchair and I can't get through here," well, then we really need to start looking at, do we need to take the tree down or not? So.
But meanwhile, if that does happen, the homeowners got to face another round of, okay, I got to hire, bricklayer to redo all the stuff or to take the tree down. I get it that we contribute to half, but
with condemnation, we pay them half for taking it down. For Mr. Varney, what we're talking about with the brick sidewalks a lot less than taking that big tree down. So, I mean, sure, he may not be real happy, but we gave him a solution that's better than what he was facing. So.
I mean, I've seen a few properties where they've actually moved the sidewalk around the tree.
Yeah.
I don't know.
unfortunately, this particular case,
Right.
yeah, there's a iron fence
Right.
right up against it. So unless you were to move,
Wall fence.
40 foot of iron fence, there's no,
Yeah.
and it's at a higher elevation. So,
Yeah.
yeah, every case is specific. I
Yeah.
mean, it all takes unique
Yeah.
Yeah.
look at it, which I appreciate, that you guys are doing. My only concern again was just the time lapse has started in February. We're now in May and it just got resolved. So,
I probably should tell you, I mentioned it in an email, we have issued an RFP for a new arborist. And the current arborist was also invited. So the end of this month, I'll have proposals and we'll see where that goes.
And to your point, Mr. Travis, over on Sharpless Street, the people who actually take their concrete walk and go into their yard and go. Gary Varney's house, unfortunately, there's a brick wall there with a fence on it. I actually stood there and looked at it and figured, well, maybe we could get there and go into the street and put it like a rain garden type thing there. But it's so expensive to put the rain garden in. And this tree is extremely healthy. And, it's just, when I tell you they have 1.5 feet, 2 foot max to get through there, it's not very big, but, we came to some solution for it. It's good. All right, good. All right. Any other business? Lisa Kearns, 312 West Middle?
Still 312 West Middle. Thank you for bringing that up because that is an issue with the older trees. I know in my neighborhood, we lost a beautiful tree because the sidewalk had pushed up so high, and to put the sidewalk back down, that was all covered with roots. I mean, the roots are, so we lost this really beautiful tree, not me, but my neighbor. And it's just, I mean, it was huge and old and beautiful. And yeah, they have a nice flat sidewalk now, but we've lost something that was really, so thank you for bringing that up. The other thing I wanted to build on something Bernie said, a question about the construction, and notifying them when their street's going to close and things like that. When I've been out talking to people, that's a concern that's been raised a bunch about contractors putting up those signs and then not doing the work, not showing up. Weather is great, or they close off, like in one case, New Street, they closed off like 4 blocks of New Street for a couple of consecutive weeks, but they were only working at one end and then slowly working their way down the other end. And on that street, it's alternate side parking and there's nowhere else for these folks to go. So how do we better control what the contract, and nobody knows what the contractors are doing. They just know the road is closed and they have no idea why. How do we have better communication with both the contractors and the residents?
It's difficult.
Yeah.
Because what happens is the contractor comes into parking, and what they do is they reserve certain sections of the street. Like, for example, from the New Street to Wayne Street on West Minor, they actually reserved, I think, 12 days, and they were there 3 days.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but and I think they pay a fee for reserving the block or whatever it is. And that's when the cars were towed.
And
But they didn't tow to the police's credit. The police come up before they tow a car. They will call, read the license plate. They will go on the database and call the owner. Unfortunately, the people that cars were towed, they were in the courthouse because that block of West Minor is the overflow for the parking lot for the courthouse. So unfortunately, when they came out of court, it wasn't good. But and they're supposed to, when they're done their work, they're supposed to take the signs down, which they have been doing.
right, they
Yeah,
haven't
they
been
have
doing
been
that
doing
either.
that.
Yeah.
And but they try to work around the days of the week that the street sweeping is there. They try to do that, but it doesn't always.
Doesn't seem very
it do-
successful.
No.
We're trying. Yeah.
And with all our people, you've been knocking on doors now.
Yeah.
And when you go to somebody's front door and you see 6 mailboxes and you say, oh God, now what am I going to do? How do I let just say 12 people in one house? How am I going to let them all know what's going on?
Yeah.
That's why I was thinking of the ECOT chocolate got my attention with hot chocolate during the summer and the winter, I mean. And if we had orange triangle signs that, and then just have a date or like the time we're going to do it, just put it at the end of the street and they would say it.
And if we could have the contractors maybe not close 4 blocks when
Yeah.
they know it's going to take time for them to work down the street.
Yeah.
And-
Well, it's
But
logistics.
something to think
Yeah.
about for Public Works.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's not the first time you've heard this.
Oh, no. That's how I had the answers for you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for being involved. Any other business? All right, meeting's adjourned at 8:13.